Hi, welcome to Help with Hannah and Calvin. I'm Hannah Jones.
I'm Calvin Reed, and we are answering questions Dear Abby style.
Welcome to Calvin, the new co-host. You've already noticed there's been a difference so far.
Welcome. I'm excited to be here. Cannot wait. And this podcast is brought to you by Little India. This is a beloved local family-owned restaurant with 4 locations throughout the Denver area and a coffee shop. I love stopping by the coffee shop for a quick snack or going to one of the dining locations for everything from birthday dinners to date nights. If you live in Colorado, you should make this place a regular stop. And if you're visiting our great city, be sure to stop by Little India. Visit littleindiadenver.com to find a location near you.
You're doing great.
Yay! I'll take
You're doing
it.
great. Is this your first time reading an ad?
Kinda, yeah.
You have a great ad read voice.
Thank you. I listened to a lot of podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
Just like go off.
And thank you to Dude IDK Studios in Denver, where we are recording. So you guys know Calvin from past episodes. He's a local comic in town. He's one of the favorite guests. I always get compliments when he's on an audio episode about how funny he is. So we're really excited to have him as a co-host.
I'm excited to be on the team. I love doing the podcast. I just love talking. Give me
Yeah.
a time to talk and I'm going to talk.
Talking is so fun.
It's truly my passion. I had a sore throat last week to where it made it hard to talk. And I told my therapist that it was hard. I was like, I can't just stop talking.
Yeah, I felt like artistically stifled.
It was rough. I was just going into it. I'm like, I'll take the ibuprofen before I speak because I have to do this comedy thing, or I don't care. It was rough. I burned my throat.
Damn, wait, you burned your throat?
Yeah.
From talking?
No,
Through the sore throat, or-
from a bong. But then from there, it made it hard to talk.
I used to do that in college. I did not comprehend that you could take a gentle hit of anything. And so every time I would ever get high, I would get way too high and I would destroy my throat. I would be coughing for hours. Everyone would be really concerned about me. And then I would immediately fall asleep in a public place, which kills the vibe. So I stopped smoking weed.
That's actually a really valid reason to stop. I was getting over a sickness and just didn't wait long enough, I guess, or something, because I was coughing a lot, so I guess my throat was low. I truly don't know, but we're good now.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that you're better. I was in Los Angeles last weekend. We were talking a second ago about so I was in Los Angeles for comedy. It was great. Well, no, I had 2 okay sets, 1 terrible set, and 1 truly great set.
Hell yeah.
So, that averages out to, okay.
That averages out to good. I would say good.
Yeah, I'm trying to be there several times a year.
Okay.
I've received the advice from multiple people that you got to go to those cities more often so that you can get actual traction there. Because if you just go once a year, it's hard to get on better shows every time you go. But,
Okay.
and what you're supposed to do, according to the people who've given me this advice, is tell everyone you meet that you're moving there. So my whole trip there, I was telling everybody that I meet that I'm moving there in a year. And then my friend would be like, "You're moving here?" And I'd be like, "No, God, no, hopefully never, but I'm moving here."
That's kind of the move. When I went to New York earlier in 2023, I was kind of I really think I might be moving here. And they were like, "That's great." And so I'll just do it with more confidence that time.
Yeah.
Because I think they're kind of this person might be worth thinking about more frequently if they're going to move here.
Yeah.
Because that's what will determine your value as a comic and why they want to put you on a show.
Truly.
If you live there, that's really where the logic is.
Well, it was a very fun trip. I got a new tattoo.
I know. I saw the black. That looks so good.
This is my second mic tattoo. So now when I hold the mic, no matter which hand I hold it in, it'll still show up visually, which is so good.
Oh, I've never thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have the one sleeve and then nothing, and I kind of like the asymmetry because this side is way more done than this side.
That's cool. Yeah,
But
yeah.
I like that idea too.
I only started thinking about it because a lot of times, most of the pictures that are taken of me in general are taken of me doing stand-up, and I'll be my legs will be covered and my upper arms will be covered, and this is all you see basically.
That makes sense.
So, but yeah, and then I saw a drag show. So I went to this gay bar Friday night after having the worst set of my life. I went into I sat in my car and I called my boyfriend and I cried about it and and I was like, it's awful and everybody here does the same jokes as each other and is terrible. It's a terrible city and no one should live here and everybody sucks at driving and
Oh,
It's totally fine, but it was just
yeah.
that kind of night.
When you have a bad set, it
Yeah,
just
yeah.
you can't be happy for a second.
And I was like, asking him, should I go to this drag show that I was invited to? And he was like, yeah, I really think that you should go, because God knows this vibe doesn't need to be alone in an Airbnb.
Yeah.
The alternative is like Jersey Mike's for the second time in a day. So you should go to the drag show.
100%.
And I was telling you right before the episode started, I saw this one drag queen who was like so strikingly amazing. She like did her makeup just a little bit differently from everybody else. She had like the coolest fucking song. She had the coolest fucking costume. And it was just nuts seeing a drag queen that was like that far, that was like that much of a standout.
Yeah. Do you remember her name?
No, I should
Okay.
though.
If it comes up one day, even
I tried to look it up afterwards. The show was Fat Slut.
Oh, what a fun show.
Her
Okay.
show. Yeah.
That's a great show.
I was like, which one is the fat slut? You know?
People who can do makeup are just so impressive because I love watching YouTube makeup stuff and it's just like, oh, the talent. That is just
Yeah.
not, I'm not a makeup guru, so I love it when people can do fun makeup.
People who can dance in the amount of clothes they're wearing, that really blows my mind.
Yeah.
The way that their makeup is so sweat proof really blows my mind. Because I remember there was this meme people would tweet about, like during the Eras tour, people would be like, how is she 3.5 hours into a show and her makeup hasn't budged? It's like, you know, it's just like a face and a red lip and
Yeah.
winged eyeliner. It's like, bitch, wait till you fucking see at your local dive bar, there are 6 women who can do the most insane makeup looks that still don't budge with like full illustrations on their fucking
Yeah, they have
cheeks.
like the fun eyeliner, like details that it's like, how can you just get that? Like, how do you make it look like you're painting with a paintbrush on your face?
Yeah.
And because like you're like, I get your face is a canvas, but like faces are weird. They're bumpy.
Your face is a canvas. Mine is like loose and skin-like. One would even say flesh.
Like it's literally just like, girl, like it's like you have pores. Like your face is not.
They
like,
don't,
like I
though.
don't.
They
Those
don't,
people just
though.
don't.
They somehow, it's like, have you ever seen someone like put makeup onto an orange? And you're like, oh yeah, like it just, the makeup just looks like the orange underneath, and they're like emphasizing the importance of like primers or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like that they like completely resurface their skin, and then that's the canvas, and then they paint on top of that.
And that's just like so impressive. That
So
like,
impressive.
if they had to do a lot of work to find that good primer, though, probably.
Truly.
'Cause every face is different, but that, yeah, people just have my respect when you can do makeup. Because I've like thought about getting into makeup, but then I change my mind every time because I don't want to be bad at it first. Like you have to be bad at something to get good at it, and I just don't. Maybe one day I'll be okay with being bad at makeup, but I know if I were to try like a makeup look, I would be like, that is
Are you familiar with the concept of an everything shower?
no.
Okay, there's this general joke amongst women. There's a lot of women who like fake tan. There's a lot of women who do like special hair masks or like have dyed hair so they don't wash their hair that often. And also like shaving your legs is something that you'll do like maybe once every 3 days. So
Yeah.
basically, a lot of women have this concept of like you have like your regular shower, which is just like wash your pits out and your genitals and have your hair in a cap or whatever, and then you have your everything shower, which is where you block off like a 2-hour period of time. And you go in and you put on all your masks and your oils beforehand. You like double cleanse your skin. You shave your legs. You're like gonna pass out basically from all the work that you're doing. You like do super good shampoo and conditioner. So that's the everything shower. When
Yes.
you do everything and it takes a really long time and you do it only once every like several days. And then one thing that we noticed we all had in common is that before you do your everything shower, you do a full face of insane makeup. I don't know why everyone did this, but TikTok allowed us to discover that we're not the only ones doing this. Everybody is doing this right before you get in the shower. It's like, oh, I'm about to like wash everything off, so I might as well like try whatever insane makeup trend I've like
Yeah.
seen, but I don't know if I can pull off. That's when we do it. So that's like how you learn to do winged liner, is that you just do winged liner right before you get in the shower. Like for 5 months in a row, and then by the end of it, that's your learning process. So if you don't know, welcome to makeup culture, which
is
is
so
that
cool.
your learning takes place right before your shower.
Where it's okay if you fail because you're about to shower. Who gives a fuck?
It's understood that you will fail, and the goal is to go out on a limb, and whether it's great or whether it's bad, it's washed off the next second. This is your practice
I love that.
zone.
That's like the makeup open mic right there. Like that's how makeup girlies do their open mics. They just do it right before they hop in the shower.
Yes, exactly.
That's iconic. I've heard it now that like you mentioned, I've had friends, they didn't call it an everything shower, but I would say my girlfriends that will, talk about like, oh, like this is the shower. Like I now have like, this one's going to be longer, like what I like live with girls.
S
yeah.
shower. Yeah.
Yeah. My college roommate, we shared a bathroom. And so I do remember I take like incredibly long showers. So I didn't think it was that long, but for her, it was very long because showers are my self-care. So I just take a long shower.
Do you want to know something so embarrassing?
Yeah,
You're
of
going to
course.
judge me. You might quit the podcast.
I'm go for it.
I don't shower. I actually only take baths.
Yeah, that was worse than the way I don't. Why?
Okay.
Why?
Okay, so it started when if I take steaming hot showers.
Okay.
And a lot of times between the steaming hot shower and all of the like physical work you're doing, I get lightheaded.
Okay.
So then I started noticing that like baths are just like, it's so much more convenient to shave your leg in a bath because you can like sit on the edge.
Yeah.
It's so much more convenient to do a lot of things in a bath actually. And actually, so throughout the winter, my feet get really cold really easily. So I soak my feet in hot water upwards of 7 times a day. And I
Okay.
think I've actually steam cooked my feet to the point where they can no longer generate their own heat. So
I mean, 7 times a day is.
it's a lot. It's
That is a
too
lot,
much.
yeah.
They're red most of the time, like bright lobster red. So, and socks have no impact on keeping them warm. So basically, I started, anytime that I've lived in a place that has a bath,
Uh-huh.
I'll be like soaking my feet, and then maybe I'll be soaking my feet and I'll be like, oh, I should just pull a full bath and like take a bath. Because
Okay.
it's weirder to transition from soaking your feet to a shower.
That is actually true. That's valid. That feels like a hygiene or like a grooming tactic of like Marie Antoinette, because like they didn't have showers. It's like you soak your feet in the bath and then you take the bath and then you come out and you put on your wig and your makeup and you're ready to patronize the people that you believe are below you. That just feels like a very French royalty thing to do pre-revolution.
Thank you.
So good for you. I don't know. That sounds like fun. I've never been a big bath guy. Ever.
Yeah, no, most people have a hygiene hang up on it.
It's not even that. It's just that it's like I just sit there. I don't know. My college roommate loved taking baths. It was like she ate it up every time, and I just never She's like I like.
She ate it up Saltburn style.
Literally, no. She would gulp out of the drain. No, she just liked it. She would talk about how it was very relaxing to her, and I tried to do it, and I could never get the vibe because if it was too hot, I was sitting there sweating.
Mm-hmm.
If I was reading, I was sweating. I don't like reading while I sweat. And then if I'm sitting there on my phone, it's like I might as well just be on my couch.
Yeah.
So, and there's just something about a shower that just like hits the bar for me every time. I don't know quite what it is, but I just love that feeling.
I think I just invented a way to shower and be lazier than we previously thought possible.
Yeah, true. I mean,
Ultimately.
the bath is like the lazy man shower because you're still getting clean, but that's like what humans have done for way longer.
100%.
So you're just going back to your roots of humanity
Yeah. It's a display of wealth if you think about it.
that you can take a bath.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, because like I think poor people bathrooms are more likely to not have bathtubs. I know that like when I've not had a bathtub accessible to me, my life is dramatically worse.
See, and I don't have a bathtub accessible to me now, and I'm fine. But
Are you
different
fine
people,
or are you poor?
No. My roommate has a bathtub accessible to her. They built my bathroom. They built my shower. My like apartment was built where it's like the bottom floor didn't have it, just had a half bath where it was just the toilet and the sink. And then they built out a very small shower, but it works for me because I'd rather have my own shower than a bath tub that I have to share.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, how was your week?
My week is good. I saw Queen Herbie at concert. Do you know who Queen Herbie is?
No.
Oh, you'd like her. I'll send you a song of hers. She's the bad bitch. She was Carmen in like the early 2010s, and she just like all of her songs were like being a bad bitch, and she's just an icon and was one of the best concerts I ever went to. It was like we had like a 5-minute applause for her after her second song.
Wow.
And she like started, you could like see her wiping her eyes, and I was like, stop.
Oh my God, that's so sweet.
It was so, I've never had like such good energy before. It was so cool. And she's such a bad bitch.
Yeah.
You would adore her.
I feel like the concerts that you go to that end up being the best concert experience are never like the most famous people. It's always like a slightly unexpected, because like just like what makes someone the most successful in music does not necessarily make them the most the best live performer
I
ever.
1000% agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite like person of like my favorite like music artist of all time is Casey Musgraves, and I discovered that at a concert. Like I liked her music, and I was like, oh, I go see her in concert. And then at the concert, I was like, whoa,
Like you get it now.
Yeah, like I never knew what it felt like to have a favorite artist, and then I went to her concert, and I was like, oh, like this is it. Like this is just it. And she's not like the biggest country singer ever. She's like a pretty. I mean, she sold out the Pepsi Center, but like she's not that huge. Like I still tell people who she is, and they have no clue who she is. And it's like, yeah, she's not that huge, but like there's just something about her singing live that just like scratches my brain correctly, and it's weird.
Yeah.
Those are the best concerts. Orville Peck does a great concert, and he's just kind of a weirdo.
Oh, God, yeah.
He's really hot, too. I mean, I don't know what his face looks like. I mean, I kind of know what his face looks like, but he's hot.
It could look like anything. It could be full Phantom of the Opera,
and I'd be okay
fine
with it. Yeah, I'd be fine, because he's just, it's the presence. It's proof that confidence is everything. I don't know what his face looks like, but he's hot as shit.
It's vibe and the super low voice.
Yeah, I do like that, because I don't have a very low voice.
A low voice singing country music is...
And he has the range, so the musical theater kid in me is like, okay, belt that note. Okay, belt the high note that I can't belt. Okay, sir. Like, I just try and sing along in the car.
Get this man in Newsies.
You know, I think he actually has musical theater training.
Really?
Orville Peck does. Yeah, I've listened to him do a few interviews, and I actually think he got a lot of his training in the musical theater realm, which would connect a lot of dots.
Yeah.
Just to like his voice and stuff. Or he did theater school or something. Maybe he did music school and he took theater classes or something like that. It's been a minute since I saw the interview, but yeah, I'm obsessed with him. I have like a tattoo inspired by him under these pants. I'll wear shorts one day.
Yeah.
I love wearing shorts.
I think that my theory about Orville Peck is that he's wildly conventionally attractive, and he didn't want anyone to know how attractive he was, because for a man, it slightly cheapens the brand.
It does, yeah.
It makes it a little more commercial, and I think he wanted to be taken more seriously as an artist, and that's why he won't reveal his face.
He said now that it's getting harder and harder to reveal his face, or to like not reveal his face, just because I can like Google his name and like you'll see like pictures of his face.
Oh, you know what he looks like.
It's been a really long time, because I was like, oh, he's cute, and then I didn't care anymore, because I was like, whatever, it's over. And now I just know he's cute
in like a really normal way. Yeah,
he is
that's
cute
my
like
theory.
a really normal way. Yeah, and so it was just kind of like, cool, great.
And he wanted to look like more interesting, more striking.
Which, to his defense, it totally worked to his favor.
Totally worked.
Because now he has like this weird mysterious vibe about him, and it works for his music. Because he likes, especially when he first started, his stuff always sounded kind of like mysterious, folky. Like he liked having that vibe. I think now he's leaned more into like the like less mysterious like singing and like the less mysterious like vibe there. But oh yeah, no, he's great. I'm such a country gay.
Yeah, that's a great type of gay to be.
It is a fun type. Queen Herbie's not country, but I'm obsessed with her. And I saw the new Mean Girls, and Renee Rapp should just like be given a Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh my God, I still need to see that. I've been listening to the Broadway soundtrack because I saw all the videos complaining about the new soundtrack. And so I was like, oh, these songs really do hit. And so I've been listening to the Broadway soundtrack like an embarrassing amount, which led me into the Broadway Heathers soundtrack.
Oh, it's not an embarrassing amount. I have both soundtracks memorized. Heathers, okay, yeah, I have that down. I even know the high school soundtrack. That is my jam.
Fuck yeah. Before we start singing, let's get into questions. Okay. First of all, I have some shows coming up. Denver, my new material show is February 7th. Santa Fe, for Valentine's Day, we're doing a special Love Sucks themed show put on by Cloud Top Comedy. Please come to that. That's going to be so fun. If you're in Albuquerque the day after, I'll be there. There's actually a free show at a hotel. So February 14th or 15th, and if you're in New Mexico, you can see me then. Portland, March 21st, and Seattle, April 13th. All of those links are in my bio, Linktree/Hannah Jones Cool.
Beautiful. And I have shows coming up as well. February 6th in Fort Collins, I'll be doing the R Bar and Lounge. Super fun. That'll be a great lineup. Liv Carter, if you are, if you're a listener who knows them, they're fantastic. They're headlining February 9th in Denver. I'm doing Greg's Tap Room. And then February 10th, I'm getting a new tattoo. That's not a new show, but I
Hell
want to tell
yeah.
people.
What tattoo are you getting?
It's called For the Brave. And so it's like an abstract. This artist just does it. You send them a song and you can tell them like things that inspire you about the song or whatever. And they create 2 or 3 like abstract art pieces that remind them of like the song. And then I get to
Cool.
pick it on the day of the appointment.
That's really
So
fucking
I'm
cool,
really
actually.
excited. So I just keep talking about it because I cannot wait.
That's what I love to. I mean, I always choose Flash because I just love a tattoo artist's direction. Their taste is always better than mine. Okay, this podcast is sponsored by the Patreon. Patrons have first priority to get their questions answered, and they also receive a bonus episode every month, and it's only $3.
If you want to ask a question to get answered in a future episode, you can find the link to that form in the podcast description or in my link tree or on any of my social media platforms.
Slay. Okay. Question number 1. You seem like such a girl's girl, and I'm wondering what you think are some of the best ways to fit in with female friends. I, 25 female, don't exactly have trouble with this, but I'm newer to my city and am just starting my friendships with some really awesome girls, and I do get social anxiety sometimes. The typical post hangout, was I fun? Do they still like me? That happens sometimes. I'm curious, what are some ways to be a really awesome and supportive female friend? Signed, Girls Girl. Thank you for subscribing to the Patreon, Girls Girl. It's interesting that you said this. I have always thought of myself as a girl's girl. Other people have told me that. And I think what it comes down to is that my mom and the early like women that I was exposed to and female friends were all just like pretty kind to me, and I became very securely attached to them. My mom was never passive aggressive to me, never weird to me on any level, and so for pretty much my entire life I've approached every woman I've ever met with a level of trust that I'm just like, most likely you will like me because I'm not doing anything wrong. And most likely we will be friends and it will be an uncomplicated friendship. With men, the vibes are obviously very different.
Join the club. Literally join the club. Exact same.
No trust there. And it starts from the beginning always, right? So I think that I really have a heart like when some people are like, oh, she's not a girl's girl. I'm like, every person that I've ever met who has trouble making or retaining female friendships or fitting in with like a girl group usually just has a complicated relationship with her mother, for one, or has had other complicated, maybe traumatic experiences with other women. And that just changes your level of like trust and security in all of those situations. And it sounds like, yeah, you have some anxiety that's been derived from stuff like that. But I think we really moralize the idea of being a girl's girl as like you're somehow like above male attention, and that's what allows you. And you're prioritizing female friendships. And it's like, in my personal experience with all the women that I've met, that's not what I have found to be true. It's not because we're like better at prioritizing female friendships. It's literally just because throughout my life, female friendships have been easy for me. And so that's what I go for because they're easy. For other women, it's been different. And girls who are not girls are not automatically mean. Okay, so anyway, that's my first perspective on the girls girl issue.
I think it is the ultimate compliment to be called a girl's girl.
It is such a nice compliment.
Like I read that and I was like, Hannah, she called you a girl's girl.
But within that compliment, there's like an underhanded, there's this acknowledgement of the seedy underbelly of the female experience, which is that some women kind of like, it seems like, prioritize male attention at the expense of the women around them. And we all kind of know that to be true. And we all also kind of know why that happens and where it comes from. And I think even every woman has had at least a moment where that has happened.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, when you live in a patriarchal society, it's going to trickle everywhere.
Yeah.
And it sucks, but it's what it is. I've always identified as a girl's gay because like kind of like what you said, where it's for as long as I can remember, I've just always, it's been easier for me to be like friends with girls. I've never had a problem being friends with girls. I've had guy friends growing up, and like my best friend in high school was a guy and all that kind of stuff. But every single girl I've met, I've just always had an easier time talking to than most guys I meet. And it's like, I mean, I've had a good relationship with both my mom and my dad, so I don't know if it was that or whatever. And I've always been an effeminate kid, so it maybe was just because I always like led to that. But I feel like a lot of it's just kind of natural. You're right. It's not really like...
Well, and it creates a positive feedback loop, right? Yeah. So the second that I start having healthy female friendships, I assume every interaction in the future is going to be healthy. True. I have had friends in the past who have been like, to be honest, I've never been a girl's girl. I have had difficult female friendships my entire life. And so I experience a lot of paranoia and anxiety in those settings and in those relationships. It's not because they're worse people. Usually they really want to be friends with women, but paranoia feeds its own. You are harder to be around if you're approaching situations with paranoia. I've experienced that a lot. I've shot myself in the foot so much and been so what do you call it? Self-destructive.
Yeah.
With approaching situations socially with paranoia.
And confirmation bias plays a role in it too. If you think about it, like if you don't think you're like a girl's girl, if you think female friendships are going to be hard, you're going to look for any evidence to like support that. And also people just suck sometimes. Like sometimes you just have really bad friendships and it's just like, you know, what it is. Like sometimes people just suck and friendships are just toxic and it's a bad time. Odds are, I mean, social anxiety is valid because I have it too, but sometimes you really have to like try not to listen to it when you're with a new group of friends being like, you know, they really wouldn't invite you. It's really easy to not invite somebody. If you're like hanging out with them, like you got to have some like faith that they like want you there, and it's hard.
100%. You also just have to have a general understanding that friendships have to happen organically. You cannot work harder into them. I've been saying this a lot lately on this podcast, but I was listening to a podcast today where the guy who's a therapist who runs the podcast was like, the problem with anxiety is that when we're having like rumination on like a social event, it feels like important work. Like there's this sense in our brain that it's like, I'm working through this, I'm being vigilant so that I can be the best me possible in the future. It feels like important work that we're doing, the same way proofreading an essay feels like important work. But the difference between hanging out with friends and an essay is that you can discipline yourself into a good essay and you cannot discipline yourself into having a good time with friends. At the end of the day, to have a good time with friends, you have to be unfettered. And so having anxiety with the purpose of becoming a better you and acting better next time and not making mistakes next time will only lead you into situations where, okay, great. Now you have to work really hard every time you hang out with a friend to be a version of yourself that's accepted by them. Your personality is self-selective. If you are being yourself, you will naturally find yourself in the long term surrounded by people who accept you when you're being yourself. If you refuse to be yourself because you want to be accepted by every single person in the world, then you will never go through that culling process that allows you to be accepted by people, just surrounded by people who accept you naturally.
Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of in the same way when you're like, everyone always says when you like want a romantic relationship, you can't like find it, you can't like change yourself to be it because then it won't end up working out. It's the same way with friends. Like you can't just like change yourself for a group of friends because that like won't like work out long run. You won't actually ever feel accepted, which can lead to resentment, which can, you know, lead to whole other things. Like you really have to be like your full authentic self. And that can be hard
100%.
too, but it's the long-term decision to do. And when I think of like all of my best friends, like that I've had for a long time, I remember just like feeling like totally unfettered and totally feel myself with them. And then it's lasted. And then it also makes conflict easier because you know that like you are being yourself and you know that like there's that authenticity that just makes living life with that person so much easier.
Yeah. And also you can do things that are not your best self and you can watch them forgive you for it and brush it off, and an incredible trust and sense of security develops. If you never make a mistake in a friendship, you will never get to watch them love you anyway, and then you will never get to feel like I will still be loved even if I make mistakes in the future.
Yeah.
And that's such so basically most of what we're saying is like be yourself, and that's terrible advice. I'm so sorry. But the one thing that I will say, like you said, what are some ways to be a really awesome and supportive female friend? The only thing that I will say to you is that I think in friendships we often forget to say kind things to each other, because if you think your friend is smart and hilarious, you say it once and you move on and you laugh at their jokes and then you move on. You don't actually keep saying that they're hilarious. And I think it goes a long way because we all roast each other. I mean, typically, depending on what kind of friendship vibes you have, a lot of us are like roasting each other. and taking the piss out of one another, it really, really helps to actually mindfully every time you see someone just like say something nice about them or to them, especially the longer your friendships go on.
I'm a huge roaster. I love roasting my friends. It's like my passion in life. But because I'm a big roaster, I really have to like also, you're right. You have to like kind of be aware of like, you can shoot the shit, but like when it like push comes to shove, it's like, no, like you are like truly a fantastic person that I love to be around. And you have to be willing to kind of sit. Compliments are great. Compliments are fantastic. And just like being authentic with them, but like, you know, just being honest about, I love a good compliment, and a compliment's a great way to start a friendship. And then you're right, it's a great way to keep friends too.
Yeah.
If people are around me that like constantly tell me I'm funny, it'll feed my ego, but then it also will make me
100%.
feel good about myself, and then I'll feel more trusted with them. Then you can be yourself more easily. Bam, full circle moment.
It's also a huge part of girl culture is compliments in a way that it's not a big part of man culture.
Gosh, yeah, I wouldn't girl gay. Girls gay.
Okay, hell yeah. Next question.
My BF, my boyfriend loves his anime rug and I hate it, but he's so happy with it. How do I compromise on having it in my apartment? Signed, not a weeb.
2-bedroom, and 1 bedroom is the bedroom you choose not to care about. It's the office space. Okay. So he has half of that room, you have half of that room. You put a bookshelf divider up between it, and everything that is on his half, you meditate on, I do not care. That is his holy goblin hole, and I will never interfere. He deserves to have a space to be ugly in this apartment. And 95% of the apartment has to be beautiful because there's a woman living here. But 5% of the apartment can be ugly because there's also a man living here.
And if the blanket, I mean, I get hating an anime blanket. That sounds like a really relatable problem to have. I can pick. I trust you. I trust it's not a cute blanket. And you know, if he's the one wearing it, and he's
It's
the
a
one.
Rug. Sorry.
Oh, it's a rug.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh! Why did I think blanket this
And
whole
I'm
time? And I'm like
imagining-
reading. I'm like, an anime.
I'm
rug.
imagining like a schoolgirl with her tits out.
Oh, 100%. I
essentially.
was thinking the same thing, like those like the anime body pillows. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, girl, don't have it on your bed. Okay, yeah, you're right. Office space, you know, put a chair on it, you know, put a chair on the boobs so that you don't have to at least look at that part.
Put 2 potted plants on the breasts.
Find a place to where you can only look at the face so that you can recognize the beautiful artistry that's in those eyes. And that's all you got to do. Hide the rest because, yeah, you know, but it's great that he's happy with it. And you're right. It's sometimes you just got to suck it up. That is just going to be a 5% ugly apartment in that way. And that's okay.
He deserves to have his space.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, unfortunately, even though you objectively have better taste, that doesn't make it so that he can just live in an apartment that's run under the tyranny of good taste. That's not fair.
And you can always use it to just, you know, if he tries to come out, you'd be like, I let you keep this rug, this ugly ass rug here. We're going to get this food tonight, okay?
Scorekeeping.
100%.
That's an important part of a healthy relationship.
I think that's the healthiest part of a relationship. Use that to scorekeep, girl. Oh my gosh, a rug. That really does make it worse, doesn't it?
Okay, this next one is a long one. Let's dive in. I've been dating my girlfriend for almost 3 years. She is amazing and the relationship is great. She wants to get engaged and I do too. The only thing is, although I am physically attracted to her, I'm not extremely attracted to her physically. I truly fell in love with her as a person, but after the honeymoon phase / rose-colored glasses, I noticed that she has a lot of cellulite. Yes, all women have it, but I don't think they have it equally. And I find this kind of off-putting. I am a highly anxious person and I'm afraid of losing attraction to her as she ages / changes after having kids. I don't want to be married to someone I'm not attracted to as it just seems bad for both parties. I can see us getting married, but I am hesitant based on the physical attraction side. I obviously can't bring it up, but I have been going to therapy and it's been helping a bit. But I still find it to be a really tough choice to get engaged / stay together versus break up. And I try to go with someone more physically attractive. I think part of my fear stems from the fact that in the town I grew up in, women really let themselves go after 30. Not saying men don't do the same. I'm referencing women specifically because that's the gender of people I'm attracted to. Some people are very skinny and will never gain weight. My girlfriend works really hard to maintain her shape, but without a strict diet and exercise that she currently has, she gains weight easily. I imagine if we spend a lifetime together, there's a very high chance that at some point this will happen. Life is not all about looks, but I think she deserves to be loved fully, and I'd feel awful if I can't deliver. My question is, what do you think of this situation / how would you recommend that I get more clarity and make a decision? Side note, I'm planning on going to therapy more frequently, weekly, to try and work through it. Signed, anxious douchebag.
I think that signed anxious douchebag was a perfect name for it, because at least he knows that, that's not a great attitude to have about somebody.
Yeah. There's a lot of unhealthy cultural worms in your brain.
A lot. I mean, I can't say I don't relate. I have so much internalized fat phobia I have to unlearn.
100%.
And then I'm like actively unlearning that. It's like it's really hard, but it's also like, how much unlearning do you have to do at the expense of somebody else?
100%. Yeah, you have some internalized fat phobia, and you have you're definitely trying to be as compassionate as possible. And then you have some like very stunted assumptions about the world. So the short answer is break up with your girlfriend. You're not ready to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
Because the way that you see attraction is limiting you to casual hookups. You cannot have an intimate or long-term relationship with the level that you're at in terms of attraction. That's just not a healthy way to think of other people if you're going to have a committed long-term relationship with them. So you can't get engaged to anyone right now. And I promise you that any person in a marriage or a long-term relationship would read this and tell you the same. Only hookups for the foreseeable future. But you need to do the work, and so you're doing your best to achieve a more empathetic standpoint. But I just want to be really clear on where you are right now. You cannot have a long-term relationship.
Yeah, because that'll do nothing but hurt. And it will hurt someone that doesn't deserve it too. Because you can't be like working on your problem with like someone that you would consider part of your problem, just like there and like a big part of your life. Like, it's not fair to that person for you to like be working on it, and you might think you're working on it for them, but they're still a victim of your like meaner thoughts that could like propel out into other things, and it's just not fair. Like, someone deserves someone who's going to love them even through those changes.
100%, because it's not about letting. So you seem to think that and this is a really common assumption in America, but I should let you know that like scientifically I can prove to you it's wrong. I don't know if I have time on this podcast, but like you seem to have the assumption that everybody can completely control their weight. That is something that is always under your control based on your behaviors and your discipline. Mm-hmm. That is an untrue assumption about the world. I promise you it is not true. And if you do a little bit of research, you will find out that it is not true. But even outside of that fact, assuming that it's mostly true, which it's not, your girlfriend could get a fucking cancer and lose her fucking legs. Yeah. And she could do pull-ups every day, but her body would change. And you don't seem to be in a place where you could love someone whose body, you seem to view your attraction as being like so, closely intertwined with like the general like status and hotness of the outside world.
Yeah, and also, I mean, there is science with this too. Like the whole like I guess I get what they mean with like people letting themselves go after they turn 30, but also like around that time your body literally like changes metabolically too, to where it's like you can't even like, you also kind of like you can only have limited control over how your metabolism is going to change. Like there's a reason why people as they get older have a harder time gaining muscle and all that kind of stuff, is because your body's changing, and that's just like a part of life. You literally, there are some things that you can control and some things you can't. Aging isn't one of them. Mm-hmm. And so like, sure, I guess I get what you mean when you like I get your intention with what you're saying with like people letting themselves go, but a lot of times it also might just be people aging and not wanting to like, because if you're like aging and you just hate your body and you just try and keep like a body that you can't maintain, your mental health is going to deplete. I mean, most gym bros that you talk to, almost every gym bro I've talked to, literally hate their bodies, and they might have like the best body you've ever seen and they don't like it.
Yes. And especially when you talk about people letting themselves go, a lot of times letting yourself go is such an insane sentence, because usually you were white knuckle gripping onto the idea that you could only get dopamine and feelings of fulfillment from being desired by other young people around you. And usually, if you look at the timeline, what happens is not that someone lets themselves go. What happens is that they find a rich life full of career success and kids and a partner that they love and who loves them. And suddenly maintaining a white knuckle grip on their nutrition and gym regimen isn't the most important thing in their life.
Yeah.
And like, when that was the most important thing in my life, it's because I had nothing else bringing me joy, and I let it go. I let myself go and like gained 30 pounds and am much happier. And the people in the world who love me are happy for me and love me more now because I'm happier.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of unlearning you got to do. But it's also, I mean, everybody has to do it. I mean, America is so fat phobic just in general.
So fat phobic.
So it's like, it's also hard to unlearn when like society is like literally telling you kind of the opposite. Like society would tell you that you're right with how you're thinking when it's like not, it's just not true. And people, oh my gosh, yeah. It's hard because I like can relate to you because I have so much in like internalized fat phobia. I've been like, I grew up like watching The Biggest Loser as a kid. Like this person might have too. Like you learn about that kind of stuff and you just think that it's so like one way, and life is so much more than that. And if she's happy in herself, then you should be happy for her. Like if your girlfriend is happy in herself, then it's really none of your business.
Totally. I'm also like really worried. Like a lot of people don't realize. And again, I have the science to prove this. This will probably shock you. Being underweight is dramatically has a much higher link with death than being overweight. Mm-hmm. Losing weight is really, really hard on your body. Maintaining a weight that is unnatural for your body is really hard on your body. And a lot of times, the longer that you maintain that weight that is unnatural for you, the worse those physical side effects get. And I am so worried for someone who is with you that because you clearly have an idea that a certain body type is healthy and any other body type is like if she changes her lifestyle only slightly and immediately gains weight, I can't speak to what your girlfriend is like, but I think there's like a 90% chance that a natural weight for her body would be higher.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. If he wrote it as he means it, which is like if it really is like that much of a change can cause that much of a weight gain that quickly, I really hope you're being dramatic when you say that, because that you're right. That means that it's like she's doing something that's not worth maintaining in the long run. It's going to kill her mental health, and that's not fair.
And also, like, you're gonna go bald, dude. There's like a 60% chance, and there's nothing wrong with going bald. I'm just saying that, like, I don't think that you should have an obsession with judginess like this. Like, that's not healthy for you to have, because you have such a misunderstanding of metabolism that you're probably also going to gain a lot of weight during the aging process, because most people will. And you'll also get wrinkly, and you'll get fucking cataracts, and you'll become one of those old guys who can't hear anybody. Like, everybody is going to become less typically attractive. So it sounds like you're super young and you're super not ready for a long-term relationship. And I think that it sounds like your girlfriend either thinks she's ready for a long-term relationship, but quite possibly isn't, or also isn't ready for a long-term relationship. So the answer is you guys should not get engaged.
Yes.
And I am super proud of you for getting into therapy, and I'm super proud of all the self-awareness that you already have. I think that if you perhaps learned more about the scientific side of metabolism and weight gain and everything like that, I think it would really help you unpack some of these ideas and some of these hangups that you have.
Yeah, I mean, and you'll be surprised through therapy, coming from someone who literally is working on their fat phobia in therapy, you'd be surprised how much you come to like yourself so much more, because you become more forgiving on yourself when you realize that so much of it is just things you've been told rather than like actual truth.
Yeah.
Like, that's just what it is. Like, you'll realize you're going to be nicer to yourself, because something tells me that you're also really hard on your appearance, and you're probably terrified about balding when guess what? It's natural. If you're going to bald, you're going to bald. Yeah. And guess what? People are going to think it's hot. And people are probably think your girlfriend's body, where it should be, is probably banging. And she's probably like the most delightful person ever. And she gets someone she'll deserve. You get someone that you deserve when you grow up, and it'll be fantastic.
In general, anytime this topic comes up, I always recommend looking up the article. I believe it's a New York Times article or maybe an Atlantic article. Everything you know about obesity is wrong. It's a really, really great summation of all of the incorrect science and data that we gathered about fat people in the 80s. And it really corrects a lot of assumptions that I can tell that you have. I think that'd be helpful for you to learn just to be like a good citizen of the world.
Support that.
Slay.
Beautiful. Next question. I'm moving to a new city this summer. How do I make new friends? Even though I actually like talking with people and hanging out, I've always been kind of antisocial and introverted. Working out in therapy, we stay in therapy. So this year I made a resolution that I try and go out of my way and make some changes. How do you go into a new environment like a bar, arcade, gym, etc., and start talking to people? And how do you recover from bombing in conversations? Love the pod. Looking to get some great advice. Thanks. Sign New Year, New Me. Thanks for subscribing to the Patreon.
Yeah, thank you for subscribing. This question comes up so often. It's really clear that like the majority of people struggle with this.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a common topic of discussion on the internet. So first of all, you're not alone, and it's tough. I think that having a hobby is the easiest route into a group of new people. People always talk about going to like a bar or a gym. I have never felt confident talking to new people in those settings.
I would say, because I do frequent the gym and I've worked at one for a while. So I've seen people make friends at the gym, and you have to have like a level of comfortability there that like is kind of unnatural. Like you have to just like be there frequently enough and feel confident enough in what you're doing. But like if that is you, then I definitely recommend a gym. But if you don't feel comfortable in a gym space, then don't try and make friends at a gym, because you are going to have more of those awkward conversations. You're going to feel uncomfortable. Then you're not going to like it's just going to be rough. So definitely like pick up hobbies or things that you can find that are comfortable.
Yeah, I feel like straight up athletes can make friends in the gym. Absolutely.
Yeah, like the bodybuilders that I would see every day at work, like it was so easy for them to make friends. And I would be like, huh? And it's like, oh yeah, you're here more than I am and I work here. Like, of course you're going to make friends.
And they can like look at each other and understand based on what someone's doing that they have a shared level of expertise in something.
Yeah.
The same way that like I can go to any city and see a comic who's a stranger to me, but if we have a shared level of expertise, it's like, okay, I get it. We have things to talk about industry wise that I might not if I went to a new city and someone was at their first open mic. I don't have as much common ground with them just because we both like comedy. So yeah, a hobby is great. And I think that generally a club, like a book club or a knitting club or something like that, facilitates conversation in a little bit more of a structured way.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I've made all my friends post-college from comedy, which like obviously if you're not into comedy, don't force it. But you'd be surprised if you have like one or two things in common with somebody, you can make a conversation off of that. Or I've made friends I've made plenty of friends with girls at parties by just going up to them and complimenting them.
Yeah.
If you are if you're a cis straight guy, that might not work quite as well. But I've always just been able to be like, girl, I love your nails. And then we can talk about that and it works.
What if a cis straight guy walked up to you at a party and was like, I love your nails?
They would be me getting out of the closet is what that would be, because I was like fully a straight man complimenting women's nails, being like, I'm straight though, like come on,
and they were like, right.
Yeah, they were like, yeah, cool. Well, I mean, I can't remember if I said this before, but when I came out in college, I came out as bi because it was happened to be part of my journey, but I came out as bi. When I did that to my friends, all of them thought I was gay, and I came out like liking women. Like they all thought I was like, oh, you like women too, and I was like fully like, no, I like guys, y'all. Like that's just like, so so like maybe that's not it for everybody. Right. No, I remember telling them all we were getting fun. They were like, huh? Like they were like, you were straight? Because my personality never changed. But that's always been a way for me to make friends, is I like would make friends and I'd be like, girl, like you have the cutest hair today. And then it's like, bam, you'd be surprised. Like a compliment can go a long way. If someone compliments me, I'm down to talk to you for longer.
Yeah. If you have a medium level of bravery and charisma, I would say walking up to someone with a compliment 9 times out of 10 will lead to a conversation that will lead to connection and friendship if they have an opening for friendship in their lives. If someone rejects your friendship, it is almost never on a personal level. It is almost always because you approach someone who does not have an opening for friendship in their life. life. If someone has lived in a city for 10 years, it is very unlikely that they have opening for friendship in their life. They're just busy. Like I don't like just based on my schedule, if I met a new person who seemed really cool, but was not already my friend and was not a comic, I don't feasibly see how we could logistically strike up a friendship. And that would in no way be a rejection of them as a person.
Yeah, it's just a timing thing. I was saying when you were saying that, my first thought was like, well, if I meet somebody new and I like him, I just hope I see him at mics or shows. Like that was my first thought is I just like hope I get a chance to see him because, you know,
I'm
life
like
is life.
Gripped onto my non-comic friends for dear life. There's like 5 of them left that I like really see that often. And I'm like, please. But it's like, it's tough to maintain. So yeah, basically just really remember that it's not personal and it's not a rejection of you. What you're looking for is other people who are new to town and have a reason to have an opening for friendship in their life. And it's always just about timing. It's never about you as a person. So find a hobby. Ideally, a class or something like a club meeting will be very structured and will require input from you, whereas going to a bar really does not. And people go to a bar all the time just to read or just to chat with their friend. And so it's a lot more likely that you'll approach someone who does not have room to have a conversation with you at that point. For me, that would hurt my feelings no matter what. If you're brave, go do that. That's awesome. There's nothing wrong with approaching someone with a cold like that. But for me, I really have to go to a more structured environment where there's space for me to talk and there's an assumption that other people are down to hear me talk.
Or even like a sports league, you get endorphins after working out, after like doing a sport. So people are going to be in a happier mood. Bam. And every like, even if it's like something like short or like once a week, you'd be surprised how quickly you can. And also wanting to make friends. I don't know. This might just be because I've been blessed with the ability to. I feel like I can make friends pretty easily. That's been something that I feel like I've worked to get. But that like, you know, you'd be surprised how like far just like wanting to make a new friend and just like kind of putting that out there can make a difference. And how like you'd be surprised how you'll attract someone else who feels similarly, and then bam, you're friends, and then you have a new bestie. And also friendships transition so often. Like in my freshman year of college, I'm only friends with like maybe 2 people I was friends with freshman year of college because I grew from that. It was like great to have them. I needed them for freshman year or whatever. Like the friends I started when I first started comedy aren't the same friends I have now. Maybe 1 or 2 for sure, but not the same because you transition in life kind of happens. So it's also okay to have those friends be like, you know, a more short-term friend, but they're still someone you hung out with and still like a great part of your life.
Oh, 100%. Friends come in phases when you move to a new city. There's your first phase 1 friends, which is you saying yes to everything and hanging out with everybody that you can get your hands on. Out of that group, maybe 1 or 2 passes on to phase 2 friends. During your phase 2 friendships, you will meet more people, and your phase 3 friends will be like the actual people who you are compatible with most likely. And then the last part of the question, how do you recover from bombing in conversations? I just realized you were supposed to read this question and I read it.
No, I read it.
I'm so sorry. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, my bad. I'm losing my mind. Okay, how do you recover from bombing in conversations? Conversations are like kissing in the sense that there are no objectively good and bad kissers. What you think of as a good kisser is a kisser who is compatible with you, and what you think of as a bad kisser is a kisser who is incompatible with you. Same for conversationalists. There are people who are compatible with a greater percentage of the world in both kissing and conversations, and good for them. They'll probably never have an insecurity about bombing in a conversation. There are people who are compatible with a smaller percentage of the world conversationally. I feel like I'm one of those people. A great number of my conversations feel like a bomb, but it's always a 2-person bomb. It wasn't just me. A lot of times it was the other person bringing rancid vibes.
Yeah,
and it was just our combined,
yeah,
it's just our combined rancid vibes. Think of it as more the conversation and the quality of the conversation is neither you nor the other person. It's something in between. It's a third separate thing. And you can say that when we come together, the conversation is bad. That's a data point, you know? But
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with being compatible with less people. Most celebrities, most personalities that you look up to are eccentric people. They're compatible with less of the population. So there's nothing wrong with it.
And I don't know, maybe I'm Delulu, but I feel like I feel like I might be like a relatively good conversationalist. Like I might be a good conversationalist with like a bigger part of the percentage. And I still bomb conversations all the time where I'm like, what the fuck did you just say? Like, did you really just say that? That really came out of your mouth, dumbass? Like, it just happens. Like, you're gonna say something you regret. And if you can laugh about it, or if
Yeah.
you know, because it's going to happen. Coming from someone who doesn't feel like they're to the majority of the population and someone that does, we both have bombed plenty of conversations.
100%.
And yeah, you're right. And so many times it's just some weird random third thing that like isn't quite the other person. It's not quite you. It could just be how you started talking. It could be so many different things. And it's like just kind of how it is. It's
Yeah.
the more often you talk, the more often you might bomb a conversation. But if you're talking, at least you're talking.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you so much for all your questions. Thank you, Calvin. We're excited to have you on as co-host.
So excited to be here.
Submit a question, subscribe to the Patreon, find us on social media.
And thank you so much.
Cool.